I think maybe I just had a little bit more to do, but I think we kind of all, whatever we did in the banks, we all kind of did that. I didn't really do any of no, we had a good stunt woman, Rita Miner, and she kind of knocked everything out.
The Set It Off cast became legendary for their unforgettable performances, but not everything fans saw on screen tells the whole story. From the laughs to the intense heist scenes, there were moments and secrets most viewers never knew about. So, what really went on behind the cameras? And how does it impact the movie? Join us as we dive into the untold story of the Set It Off cast and the revelations most fans never figured out. A casual joke turned into a groundbreaking classic. Takashi Bufford's original idea for Set It Off didn't begin as some carefully built Hollywood concept. It reportedly started with something simple, a friend casually talking about robbing a bank. That offhand remark turned into a spark. When Kate Lanier came in to help reshape the script and F. Gary Gray joined fresh from the success of Friday, what began as an idea slowly grew into something rare for its time. A bold, emotional action drama led entirely by black women. Back then, this wasn't common. It wasn't just another movie. It felt like new ground being broken. Casting played a major role in making the film what it eventually became. Robbie Reed, the casting director, was key to bringing the right faces, voices, and energy together. The character Jada Pinkett Smith eventually played had actually been written with her in mind from the very beginning. She didn't just accept the part, she influenced casting further by pushing for Queen Latifah to join the project. Latifah wasn't just acting, she carried an attitude, confidence, and toughness that felt real. Then came Kimberly Elise, who had no film experience at the time. She came in as a theater actress and delivered an audition so real and emotional that the room went quiet.
Now, if you want to kick my ass, then come on, let's just get it over with, because I am sick of your shit.
Producers were stunned and impressed. Vivica A. Fox came in last, bringing a strong, grounded presence to Frankie. Reports said she had also learned new skills and gained confidence working alongside Will Smith earlier, and that calm control carried into this role. F. Gary Gray didn't just want performances, he wanted connection. He reportedly pushed the cast with tough table reads, rewrites, and room for spontaneity. There were moments where lines weren't rigidly stuck to the page. Some lines came to life during rehearsals inside the production office. Gray encouraged everyone to throw ideas in, and the characters started to feel more layered, more human, and more real. Queen Latifah, during the process of reading for Cleo, strongly expressed that the character's boldness and toughness lived in her already, making it clear that she didn't just want the role, she embodied it. Gray later explained in the behind-the-scenes documentary, Setting It Straight, that chemistry wasn't something that happened by accident. He reportedly said his rehearsal process was intentional. He didn't just want the actresses to memorize lines together. He wanted them to truly know each other. He encouraged them to spend time together away from the script, to go out, laugh, talk, and build a natural bond. By doing that, he believed the closeness would show up on screen without being forced. He later reflected that this approach worked because when people watched the film, they didn't feel like they were seeing actors. They felt like they were watching a real family hold each other together through struggle. The actresses themselves also understood the weight of what they were part of.
It's been an experience. You know, the 2 months that we worked on this, I can't believe it's over.
Kimberly Elise later shared that Set It Off was her first film and that she personally related to the emotional and financial hardship her character lived through. She wasn't acting from imagination. She was drawing from real experience. Vivica A. Fox also spoke about how deeply everyone committed to the script, saying Gray pushed each of them to not only perform, but to grow. The film didn't hide behind fancy studio sets either. Much of it was shot in real Los Angeles neighborhoods, not polished backlots. Gray wanted the city to read true, in all its rough edges and beauty. He wanted the viewers to feel as though they were walking through real lives, not fictional worlds. Banks, housing projects, everything had to look and feel lived in. The cinematographer Mark Rashofsky molded that energy by shooting handheld, making even quiet scenes feel tense, emotional, and extremely close. All those things, the casting, the rehearsals, lived experiences and real locations and that raw documentary shooting style, came together to make more than a heist movie. Set It Off changed into a tale about survival, friendship, loyalty, aching, and strength. It depicted women who were imperfect, strong-willed, funny, resentful, tender-hearted, and entirely real. And it is that realness that has allowed the film to continue to reach people decades later. It didn't just entertain. It was a mirror held up to real life, real struggle and real sisterhood in a way that was rare then and still feels potent now. Everyone remembers the story, but what if the real shock is what it took to create it? Set It Off pulled off movie magic in just 39 days. Released in November 1996, the movie Set It Off first attracted attention to its violent scenes of bank robbery, memorable acting, and its violent plotline on friendship and desperation. But behind the scenes was an equally compelling tale. This now classic crime drama was filmed in just 39 days, on a modest $9 million budget bank, an unusually short and lean production timeline for a feature film that included action sequences and an ensemble cast. According to trivia details from the behind-the-scenes documentary Set It Straight, The Making of Set It Off, the entire principal photography schedule ran for only 39 days under that $9 million budget. For context, many Hollywood productions with similar cast sizes, stunt work, and action setups can take several months of shooting and much larger financial backing. Set It Off. Pulling this off wasn't just about working fast. It took serious planning and a director who knew exactly what he wanted. F. Gary Gray, who'd already made a name for himself with Friday in 1995, managed a rushed schedule while refusing to play it safe. Instead of renting backlots, he and the crew shot in real LA neighborhoods. This gave the movie a rough, lived-in feeling that hits hard when you watch it. Filming on real streets means you have to deal with whatever comes up. Weather, crowds, noise, all of it. The timing gets tight, and plans can fall apart without warning. Still, Gray and his team handled these curveballs and turned them into pluses.
And I ain't trying to hear this shit today.
Which one of you girls smoked Luther? Huh? I'm thinking it was you, Cleo, because you're the only one with any priors.
They leaned into handheld shots, set up scenes so the characters always took center stage, and cared more about keeping things moving than staging big set pieces. The $9 million budget was modest by mid-90s Hollywood standards. Big studio action films often carried budgets several times higher, even for less ambitious storytelling. Set It Off's financial restraint didn't hold it back. Instead, it forced creativity in how each scene was planned and executed, from cinematography to performances. Despite these constraints, the film found a strong box office return. Against its $9 million production cost, Set It Off grossed over $41 million worldwide, making it a commercial success and one of New Line Cinema's top performers for the year. This means the movie earned more than 4 times its production budget, a noteworthy achievement in Hollywood, especially for a film told through the perspectives of Black women. A story that, at the time, studios often hesitated to back. How were they able to get the right actor to play the characters that brought the movie to life? Jada wanted to play a different character. Jada Pinkett Smith may feel inseparable from Stony today, but that wasn't the role she originally wanted. When the film was being discussed with her, she initially had her eye on Cleo, the fearless, fiery character eventually brought to life by Queen Latifah. Cleo had the loud presence, attitude, and electric personality that many actors would naturally gravitate toward. To Jada at the time, it felt like the most exciting and juicy character to play. However, director F. Gary Gray saw something different. When Jada was approached about joining the film, both Gray and writer Takashi Bufford believed she was meant for something deeper in the story. Gray reportedly explained in the film's behind-the-scenes featurette that Jada had an intensity and emotional grounding that fit Stony perfectly. In his mind, Stony wasn't just another character. She was the heart of the film, the one who carried the emotional weight and held the group together when everything was falling apart. Bufford also shared similar thoughts, saying Jada captured exactly what Stony represented: strength born out of quiet pain, responsibility, and sacrifice. Jada eventually agreed, and looking back, it is hard to imagine anyone else playing Stony the way she did. Stony wasn't loud or showy, but she was layered. She was the friend who carried responsibilities that felt too heavy, the one constantly trying to protect the people she loved while desperately searching for a way out of her circumstances.
Cleo, you are real high, and you acting real stupid.
Pinkett Smith brought that internal struggle to life in a way that felt deeply human and painfully real. In the story, Stony is one of 4 close friends who end up turning to bank robbery, driven by frustration, loss, and a desperate need to change their lives. Her journey is emotional from beginning to end. She loses her brother in a tragic shooting, faces betrayal, watches everything she loves crumble, and still keeps going. Her vulnerability, strength, and constant inner conflict made her the emotional anchor of the film. The final scene of set, E, off, was heartbreaking. But what if it wasn't supposed to end that way? The emotional ending you never saw. After everything that happened, Jada Pinkett Smith's character, Stony, left town alone, sitting quietly on a bus heading toward a new life in Mexico. She had lost almost everything she loved, and with nothing else to tie her to the life she was leaving behind, except memories of Keith and the moments they shared. She carried her past with her as both comfort and pain. The ending we saw in the film was already emotional, but according to writer Takashi Bufford, there was once another moment planned that would have made it hit even harder. Bufford explained in an interview with Black Film that the original version of the ending included a powerful deleted scene. He shared that there was supposed to be a moment where Stony looked out the bus window and saw a playground as she rode past. That simple sight would have triggered a memory of her and the other 3 women when they were little girls, about 8 or 9 years old, laughing, running around, and simply being kids with no worries. He said the scene was meant to remind viewers that before life got heavy, before pain and struggle took over, their bond started from real friendship.
Every time we get high, you start looking like Sugar Bear. For real.
For him, that scene showed what relationships truly meant, and showed that everything they went through came from a place of love, loyalty, and shared history. Even though that flashback never made it into the final cut, the spirit of that friendship lived on beyond the film. Off-screen, Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah, Vivica A. Fox, and Kimberly Elise formed a real connection while working together. They have, over the years, still continued to talk with pride about the film and how it has impacted them in a personal and professional way. They have regularly stated that it felt special to be a part of Set It Off, not due to its success, but out of the fact that it was power, unity, and a gift in film history, where their stories were told with sincerity. Even after creating such a powerful story, could Hollywood be convinced to take a chance on it? Rejected 3 times. The production of Set It Off wasn't as simple as just having a great idea. Screenwriter Takashi Bufford later explained that even though he believed there was a strong audience waiting for a film like this, the journey to getting it approved was rocky. When he and the team first took the project to New Line Cinema, the studio didn't instantly see what he saw. In fact, he shared that the film was turned down not once, but 3 different times. According to Bufford, the studio's biggest concern was that they didn't think male audiences, especially black men, would support a film that centered on armed black women leading the story. At the time, Hollywood was still very cautious about stepping outside what it considered safe narratives. The idea of 4 black women carrying an action-driven story while also tackling emotional depth and real-life struggles didn't fit what executives believed would work at the box office. To them, it felt risky. Bufford, however, felt differently. He felt that the audience was prepared to see something fresh, something genuine, and something fearless. He believed that people were starving with a desire to have a film that did not only entertain, but also in some way mirrored real life, like what viewers hardly saw in the cinema.
And we got to do 2 things. rob another bank and get the out of here. Or we gonna be in jail by tomorrow morning.
He explained that the film worked because it wasn't just action for the sake of action. It had emotional weight. It showed 4 women dealing with real pain, real pressure, and real choices. It was the first film of its kind to center a story like this around 4 black women, and that sense of authenticity is what he believed made it connect so powerfully with audiences. When the film finally got made and became a success, it proved the early doubts wrong. The worry that black men wouldn't support it turned out to be false. The movie found a wide audience, crossed expectations, and became something meaningful and memorable. The success was strong enough that the studio eventually became extremely enthusiastic about the idea of a sequel. Bufford explained that at one point, the studio was so energized by the idea of continuing the story that multiple departments were already preparing for it. Budgets were reportedly reviewed, approvals were given, and everything looked like it was moving forward. But there was one major roadblock: Jada Pinkett Smith. Bufford shared that when the studio approached her about returning, she wasn't interested in doing another film. Her decision ended the conversation instantly, and with her stepping away, the sequel collapsed. No matter how ready the studio was, the project couldn't continue without one of its key stars. What other shocking elements set the movie apart from every other movie production? The soundtracks stole the show. The Set It Off soundtrack wasn't just there in the background. It started to feel like a story of its own. East West Records put it out, and somehow it landed perfectly between R&B and hip-hop, catching all the emotions and twists the movie threw at the audience. Every song seemed handpicked to match the film's punch. The anger, the grief, the push to keep moving, the whole theme of sisterhood. The soundtrack basically became a second storyline, running right alongside the main action. Most of these tracks really took off, and Vogue's Don't Let Go Love was everywhere, hitting number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Brandy's Missing You sat with that aching, almost desperate feeling, while Bone Thugs and Harmony's Days of Our Lives gave the record this rough, street-smart mood. Ray J's Let It Go worked the tension and bursts of relief you felt in the movie. Put together, these songs didn't just match what was happening on screen. They made those moments hit harder, pulling you even closer into what the characters were going through. The soundtrack went platinum, cementing its place as one of the most significant rap and R&B infused compilations of 1996. The way the soundtrack was curated wasn't random. Queen Latifah participated in its creation, but she made sure her influence didn't overshadow the collective feel of the project. The producers went out of their way to pick songs that really matched the film's vibe, making sure each track added to the story instead of pulling focus. The end result felt seamless. Every beat, lyric, and mood seemed like it was there for a reason, almost weaving a second layer into the movie's narrative. Even Matthias, one of the producers who worked on several tracks, told Urban Bridges about what it was like to help put the soundtrack together. He also talked about finally meeting Sylvia Rohn, the head of East West Records at the time, and working with her. The tracks Matthias and the other artists brought in made the soundtrack as memorable as the film itself. The songs played up the tension during the heist scenes, but also dialed into the quieter, more complicated moments, giving the music a range that matched all the emotions running through the story. On top of the chosen songs, Christopher Young composed the film's score. He managed to balance the high-stakes energy needed for the action with more subdued personal parts. The score and soundtrack worked side by side. Action scenes felt tense, but the quiet, heartbreaking moments between the women hit just as hard. Gray said he paid close attention to when he used music. He'd leave some scenes unscored, trusting the cast to carry the moment, believing sometimes adding more would actually make it feel less real. He wanted to let the acting breathe and only bring in music where it really fit, never letting it take over. With all that intention and care, the Set It Off soundtrack landed somewhere well beyond just a playlist of songs. It acted as a co-narrator, reflecting the emotional intensity, resilience, and connections of the characters, while also establishing its own lasting impact on the music charts and in pop culture. But if this movie wasn't really about crime, what surprising message was it truly delivering to the world? More than a heist. Set it off, starting with a bank robbery, blows up Frankie's world. She's out of a job before the debris even settles, and just like that,
Get out! Don't move! Get the fuck out! Get out! Get out, everybody! Don't move! Don't no!
you get the sense these women are staring down something rougher than just bad luck. That opening wasn't there just to give you a cheap thrill. It sets the stakes and makes it clear the deck is stacked, and each of these women is about to get pushed way too far. This movie has its feet planted squarely in mid-90s Los Angeles, just after the 1994 crime bill, and with Rodney King's case still hanging over the city. Most films back then seemed obsessed with the stories of young black men and their struggles, but Set It Off flipped that. Each woman in the crew deals with the chaos in her own way. Stony, who basically holds the group together, is dragging around the pain of losing her brother to police violence.
10x5 clear.
So everything she does carries that weight. Frankie gets blamed just because she knew the guy who robbed their bank. A perfect example of how women get stuck holding the bag for problems way bigger than them. And then there's TT, trapped by poverty, struggling to pay for childcare, and left making choices nobody should have to face. Cleo, brash, ambitious, and fiercely intelligent, wanted not just to provide for her partner, but to assert her right to exist and thrive in a world that constantly denied her opportunity. None of them fit the traditional mold of heroism. They were angry, funny, loyal, and desperate. They made mistakes, they broke rules, and their flaws were part of what made them human. The film doesn't try to hide the women's pain. Their trauma is right there, messy, visible, no excuses made. And nobody's handing out lessons or scolding them for how they cope. Instead, you see exactly how poverty, inequality, and getting shut out over and over can push people to the edge, places where doing the right thing just isn't always possible. As the women go from barely knowing what they're doing to pulling off jobs with real skill, the tension keeps building, not just in the plot, but inside them too. Cleo's last stand showed pure fury and defiance and protectiveness after years of getting boxed in. It isn't about the cash or the crime. The story runs on figuring out how to survive when the world's pushing back at every turn. When Stony finally slips out to Mexico, the audience sees what surviving really looks like. The hurt she carried, the things she had to leave behind. Her escape is a hard trade-off, proof that hanging on to life can mean letting go of so much. If the deleted scenes had made it to the final cut, would it have been even more iconic? If Jada agrees to a sequel, do you think it would be as iconic as the initial one? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.